is the Broadway extraordinaire.
Babe, King of R&B.
You have legends say, hey, sing this song for me. To be one of the chosen few, to be blessed by Sir Gordy himself, the Phil Collins made a song just for you. If you ever see his astrology clips, they're hilarious and weirdly accurate, by the way.
I got a call from the mayor of Gary, Indiana. Michael Jackson's coming back home to Gary, and we want to know if you'll be a part of a show that we're doing for him. And I was like, let me think about it. Yes, absolutely.
Now, this is the one that the internet always asks. How old are you? Hey everybody, this is Giovonnie Samuels here, and you're listening into the Tokens Podcast. Today, my guest is none other than Chester Gregory. This is a Broadway great here that I am talking to. He has done Hairspray, he has done Cry Baby, he has done Tarzan, he has done Motown. This man has done it all in his wonderful 25 plus year span in Broadway and in Hollywood, and I can't wait for you all to hear his perspective. Don't forget to hit us up on all of our socials. You can always look us up on thetokenspod.com. And without further ado, let's get into this conversation with Chester Gregory. So I just found out you have the key to not one, but two different cities. And an honorable mention, honorable what?
Honorary doctorate from Columbia College, Chicago. An honorary state representative is so...
You can't, okay. Please explain.
So I was granted, the first key that I was granted was to the city of East Chicago, Indiana. That was my first key. And then Gary saw that and was like, oh, wait, we got a key for you too.
You from here, you gonna get this key first. That is so petty.
So then, right. So then I think it was exactly 10 years ago, Gary, Indiana also gave me a key to the city. And they were like, and we're gonna make you honorary state representative. I still don't know what that means, but thank you, you know. And then also that same year, I was awarded honorary doctorate from Columbia College, Chicago.
When did all this happen?
Around 2014.
Yeah. You do Broadway, you do singing, you do honorary key giving or getting. An influencer, an author, what don't you do? How do you decompress?
I am really simple. I like to eat good food.
Amen.
Yes. So even though I'm plant-based, the food, especially because I'm plant-based, the food gots to be good. So
translation, you need some seasoning on them bangs.
There it is, right.
If you ever see his astrology clips on Instagram, YouTube, wherever, they're hilarious and weirdly accurate, by the way. Weirdly accurate. I'm a Scorpio, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Watch out. Right.
So, Chester, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So, I want to jump right into it. Let's start from the beginning of your career. How did you get started?
I got started growing up in Gary, Indiana. So, of course, growing up in Gary, Indiana, my idol was Michael Jackson.
As always.
And that got me on my journey to, you know, just be a performing artist. Michael Jackson gave me the belief of, well, really just the belief of being delusional. Because Michael Jackson made it out of Gary, Indiana. He inspired people all over the world. Me seeing that as a child, felt like I could do the same thing in my own kind of way. But let's go, you know. So that's how it started. And then I did a lot of theater and stuff in the Chicagoland area, the Black Ensemble Theater, the Goodman Theater. And then did a show called The Jackie Wilson Story, which led to my Broadway debut as Seaweed and Hairspray. And then 10 years of Broadway stuff. And now I'm here in LA. Okay,
so what it just went Gary to Broadway. Like, is there an age? What was your youngest role, or what age did you were like, okay, this is it. This is the acting thing. This is what I want to do.
I knew I wanted to do this when I was in the 5th grade. So I just saw the arts as kind of all encompassed. So they were like, well, what do you want to do? You want to sing? You want to act, or whatever it is? And I just saw it all as one thing that had multiple areas and multiple disciplines. So I studied a lot of different areas. So I went to high school. I was a dance major at high school, but then I also did the musical theater program and stuff like that, and just loved it, and didn't realize growing up in Gary, Indiana, that we were doing black versions of shows. So I thought that was a theater world. So
Ah.
when I got out into the real theater world, I was like, oh wait, this is different. We was putting some stank on it. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of a culture shock a little bit on the great white way, as opposed to being at the black ensemble and getting my foundation in with all of the black theater actors and theater community in the Chicagoland area, which I loved, and I'm really glad I got that foundation because it helped me along the way. You know what I mean? So,
That's fantastic. So your first role on Broadway, tell me about that. Which one was that?
that was Seaweed and Hairspray.
Okay. And how was that experience for you?
So that was a dream come true. So I was doing the Jackie Wilson story at the time. I saw Hairspray when it was in previews. Fell in love with the show. I was like, oh my God, I love this show. And a year later, almost a year exactly to that date, is when I ended up making my Broadway debut. So I was happy and excited and
Yes.
full out every single show.
Of course.
You know, and I remember one time on stage when I was just, doing my thing, and somebody in the cast said to me on stage the dance called the Grand Madison, whatever, they were like, it don't take all that. Your paycheck the same every Thursday. And I was like, oh! And I thought, oh my God, am I doing too much? Because here are the people that I admired and looked up to for a year plus, right? Am I doing too much? So the next show, it was a two show day. I never forget it. And I was like, okay, well let me tone it down. And so actually happened in the middle of the show. So I toned it down the rest of that show, like the Grand Masters at the beginning. So in between shows, the ushers kind of talked to me because one secret is like you got to make friends with the ushers because they know everything about your show. They know who is gonna get fired, when the show's gonna close before you do. The ushers, they can work the magic lottery to get your friends tickets or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you make friends with the ushers. So the ushers told me, they were like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, what's up?" They were like, "Well, you're one of our favorites. And today you were just kind of like, so we thought you were sick." And I was like, ah.
They
So I said,
could
okay.
tell.
I said, okay, got it. Say less.
Don't dim your light.
Yeah, so that second show I did, Grand Madison, and the whole show the way I normally do it. Don't let anybody else dim your light because they've been there or because they felt like they're just there to collect a paycheck or whatever it is, or they're jaded. Continue doing what you do. So every show I gave 100%.
Because that's what you're supposed to do as
That's what you're supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. Okay, so moving from Hairspray and it being what it is, amazing, what's your next job?
The next job was Terk, Tarzan on Broadway. So I originated the role as Terk.
Oh, I'm sorry, you played an ape?
I did, yes. You got to remember at the same time, Disney's the same one that brought Lion King.
Fair.
So there is, so I wanted to, when I did Hairspray, there was a certain amount of, there's a way that I wanted to interpret the character because I knew that I wanted to represent my work as a Black actor first.
Right.
To set up however the character may be played. So with Tarzan, being that we were apes, everybody was apes except for Tarzan, and then Jane comes along and all that stuff. They were very sensitive to making sure that people were humanizing the role. So I wasn't in an ape costume or nothing like that. We're just telling the story about, how, love and some universal themes kind of take place with that. So yeah, and it was originally done by a white woman, Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah.
So
you were the first to do it on Broadway.
Yes, yeah, and I know I'm going to be doing no cooning or nothing like that. So
okay,
and
yeah.
I'm very vocal. So when I did Hairspray, because Hairspray has a lot of racial jokes in it and stuff
Right.
like that, and so the creative team was very sensitive to how I wanted to interpret the role to honor some of the racial jokes, and stuff like that, but also play it in a way that I felt had integrity behind it, which was different from how other people may have done it.
And that's what I wanted to get into.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Give me this. Give me right here.
Yeah. So I told them, because one thing happened when I did Hairspray, just to have balance with doing the show. What's really interesting with the show is that a lot of times when the show is done time and time again, though it's a show that makes people feel great, Hairspray, the cast oftentimes feels racial tension. And those of us that have seen or been a part of multiple productions of Hairspray know this, but it's not really talked about or seen with the audience. So, but there's some spillover because like you have to rehearse the white kids on a different day because all their scenes are separate. So the white kids are called the nicest kids, and the black kids are called the Motor Mouth Gang. Now that's just what it's called. But like over time, you're just like, well, why they get more rehearsal time than we do? You know, why this? You know, and all that stuff. And so I was very vocal when I was cast and saying, hey, I want to make sure that it's played like this. And in my dressing room, I had pictures of everything from the Nicholas Brothers to Malcolm X to the 60s riot, and then even like the Transformers, because that's what I like, you know? So like, and then a lot of icons from that time, you know, Jackie Wilson, all of those people, so that it's very much grounded in truth.
Right.
So like prior to, you know, my Broadway career, I had a career in Black theater portraying, you know, just originating roles in original shows, but then also portraying legends, you know?
Right.
So Jackie Wilson, Otis Redding, you know, and the list goes on and on, all of these, you know, greats. So going back to Disney's, we were all apes, but Disney was a really good experience for me. So
I love
the
that.
show did not run the length of the time that, you know, it ran a year. You know, they thought they were doing the next Lion King was going to run the next 20 years, and it didn't, you know, but like it's been very successful in other countries and in other productions as well. And I still get messages from people around the world who are portraying Terk and things like that. And they're like, you know, well, thank you, you know, for, you know, doing, you know, what you did and how you represented. I could tell you were approaching this with, you know, a level of integrity. And then they would be mad at me, be like, why are you singing so doggone high? I'd be like, well, that's what Phil Collins wanted. That's what they wanted.
I was
you
going to
know.
get to that. Like, this man is so talented that the Phil Collins made a song just for you. Am I lying? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. So he wrote the song for the show, but the song was inspired by him hearing me sing, and he told me, he said, I wrote this song, which, you know, after hearing you sing, because we had another song called I Believe in You before that, and we did that, and he was like, yeah. So he pulled me aside. Phil Collins that's the other reason I say yes to it, to get to work hand in hand with Phil Collins.
Yes.
So working with Phil Collins, and he was like, you know, I'm not feeling this. So we're gonna give it kind of a Motown vibe and kind of just, you know. And so I designed this song to fit around your voice. Is what he told me. So like, so yeah, so you know, and then also like let us, you know, I think, you know, looking back also, Tarzan the cartoon was just. I've seen people talk about this online very recently too, about how rich the Tarzan cartoon is. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know you got the white man running around the jungle and all this other kind of stuff, but the cartoon was great. It was a great work of art. You know. Anyway, but yeah. So I got to work with Phil Collins, and he gave me, you know, freedom to, you know, play around and explore, you know, with Trash in the Camp and some of these other songs and Son of Man and all of that, and it was a very enjoyable experience. Plus, I've always had dreams of flying, and being in Tarzan was my first opportunity to fly. So I got a chance to fly. Like every scene I was in, pretty much, I had a harness and had to learn how to fly. And that's what helped me land the role, is that I actually had a fear of heights. But to get over my fear of heights in my audition, I sang as a distraction to myself, so I wouldn't be up there screaming and hollering like I wanted to. I just channeled that, you know what I mean, into like singing. And they're like,
that is called being resourceful.
Right. And they're like, oh, he's singing already at the, you know, and they're like, you know, so it helped.
Yeah.
It helped, yeah, but little did they know, I was afraid of heights. Still am, but like, you know, I went back to my dreams when I'm Superman, you know, just flying through the air. And yeah, so much fun.
Oh, okay. So after Tarzan, what's next?
After Tarzan, what happened next? I did Cry Baby. Yes. Was Cry Baby next? Cry Baby, yes. I did Cry Baby on Broadway next. So we did Out of Town Run, and then Cry Baby happened, and I was Dupree in Cry Baby. So that was fun too. Yeah.
Let's just keep going.
Okay.
'Cause the man has the credits.
Oh, Lord.
Okay, the credit. This is Broadway great right here. So come on, spill you. Celebrate yourself. Give me your resume.
While I was in Cry Baby, that's when Shrek happened. So I had an audition for Shrek, and it was my first audition, and them telling me on the spot that I booked the job.
Okay.
So I went through like 7 rounds of audition. It was on like my final audition while I was headed back to do Cry Baby, and they told me that the you know, they were like, well, can we tell you now? And I was like, sure. And they were like, we want you to portray Donkey. And I was like, yes, because people love the Shrek story.
Yes.
So I threw my hands up. I say, hey. They didn't know. They didn't know what they were in for. I said, hey, all right, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm thinking about that I have to provide for my family.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So by the time, Tarzan came around, I believe my son was about 5 or 6 years old. And so we're putting him in private school and things like that. So I'm thinking of ways that are going to help provide for my family. I'd already done Hairspray 2.5 years at that point. I had a chance to renew, but then I was like, let's try something else. So it's a way to provide for my family. Crybaby happened, then Shrek happened. I had a feeling that Crybaby wasn't gonna last long, and it didn't. Literally, the week I left, was the same week it closed. Went on and did Shrek. I did the Seattle run of that and originated.
Which is my favorite, my niece's favorite.
Yeah, did the Seattle run of that, and then Daniel Breaker took over the role for Broadway. And then I moved on and did Dreamgirls, which was supposed to come to Broadway, but they said, and I'm telling you, y'all not going. So I did Jimmy Early, and I had a blast doing Jimmy Early. I had a lot of freedom, sometimes a little too much freedom, but I had a lot of fun and won a lot of awards for that. And when we didn't go to Broadway, we were kind of heartbroken. But then right when that ended was when Sister Act, the musical, happened, and I originated the role on Broadway for Sister Act as Sweaty Eddie. So did that.
Iconic Broadway roles. Do you not see how much of an impact you have had on so many people's lives, especially in the theater community?
What is interesting is, while I was doing it, I was very much aware of the stakes, which is why I continued to fight to portray roles in a way that I felt maintained integrity as a Black actor.
There it is.
But being so fed up with the BS with Broadway, I don't know if we can cuss on here or not. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So little tangent.
As much as I have enjoyed my experience on Broadway and had a great time and just felt incredibly blessed to be a part of that community, at the same time, there's a lot of trauma attached to it as well. And so in the latter years, I started thinking more about the traumatic events and how I was ready to depart and ready to move on to do other things. And now, being on the other side, that a lot of high schools are doing these shows, like they're doing Hairspray and Tarzan and Crybaby and Sister Act.
Yeah.
Like, I'm getting messages from people around the world telling me that, that my work inspired them, and, do I have any helpful tips and things like that? And so I'm like, yes, thank you. I did this with that in mind, hopefully, with the intention of adding value to people's lives.
Right.
And now I'm getting to see that and enjoy that.
As you should. Receive all of them flowers and some.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. So you got your flowers. You're getting all your flowers. Apparently, what happened with Keke Palmer?
So let's rewind back to when I did the Jackie Wilson story with the Black Ensemble Theater. It was a cast of 11 people. We had a full band. It was an amazing experience. A 3-year off and on sold out run. And Keke Palmer, when she was 6 years old, came to the show, and it was inspiring to her. And that was around the time that she was deciding to become a performing artist. And she said that seeing that show was one of her pivotal moments, for sure. And I'd heard her talk about it. People told me about it because she had mentioned it like in radio interviews and stuff like that over the years. And I was like, wait, what? And so Randy Bonds orchestrated a surprise for me to just pop up at Keke Palmer when she was at the event. Yeah. So she walked right in the room, and she's just talking, blah, 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 and Chester Gregory.
Not the full government.
Yeah, she knew my full name and was like, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, and you look the damn same. And I was like, can I archive this moment? You know what I mean? And so I did. She was very gracious, just kind of talking on the phone and share her experience. And I'd be sharing the hell out of that video because, Keke is an amazing artist, an incredible businesswoman. She's a mom, right?
A mother.
Right, a mother,
a
right.
mother.
Right, and I just love her and her work and trajectory. So I'm just honored to, be a part of that. You never know who's watching.
You really don't in this industry. And I think I've had asked this question before. You know, when we were coming up, there wasn't a lot of social media, and so I've noticed even with you, you are not just this wonderful actor. You are an influencer as well. So with social media, did you realize the significance of your representation back then compared to now?
You just never know. And so I was just having a great time and just grateful to be a part of it. So how I was full out in Hairspray every single day, that's how I was at the Black Ensemble. Like, you know, doing
Tracing back to
stuff
your
that,
roots.
yeah, doing stuff where, you know, where it don't take all that. But I guess I was being a Sagittarius and just like, I'm going to have a blast and, you know, and I was allowed in most cases freedom to do that. And those are the places that I, you know, felt like I added the most value and people have really shared meaningful messages from those moments.
Okay, so your wonderful catalog of Broadway shows, which one was your favorite to do?
Hairspray by far.
Okay.
Because Hairspray, again, it was like one of the first Broadway shows I'd ever seen. I fell in love with the show. Never thought that I would be in it. And then, you know, from doing the Jackie Wilson story, and we had to run to the Apollo Theater, and then met this manager. The producer saw me at a charity event, and it just, all these things just aligned really, really quickly. And then before I knew it, I was in the show. So, yeah.
Yay! And I think there's one more that lots of fans like to talk to you about. What was that? Motown?
Motown the Musical was the last Broadway show I did. Yeah, yeah.
Can you tell me about that? I mean, come on, that is the iconic Motown. Tell me more, please.
So yeah, Motown the Musical, I got a chance to not only meet but also portray the icon, Mr. Berry Gordy himself. And so just to like forever be tied to that Motown legacy is a dream come true. Because then growing up in Gary, Indiana, idolizing Michael Jackson,
Of course.
who was signed to Motown, and you know, then portraying Jackie Wilson, who then inspired Michael Jackson. You know, it just all felt related to me. You know what I mean? And you know, and to get the chance to play Detroit, you know, and all of that was.
So you're on Motown the Musical, and to be one of the chosen few, to be blessed by Sir Gordy himself, and have a song like you have legends say, "Hey, sing this song for me." Tell me a little bit more about the Berry Gordy experience.
Working with Berry Gordy, what was interesting about Berry Gordy is that I knew that he was a Sagittarius like myself. So when I had my audition for him, and when I saw him in the room, I was like, I feel like it's an uncle. Because, you know, he's from Detroit, I'm from Gary. You know, Gary, Chicago, Detroit kind of have this relationship to each other with the steel, right? The steel mill industry, Gary sent the steel on through Chicago to Detroit to make the cars. So it's always been this sort of like relationship with this city, with these three cities, especially musically as well. Anyway, so I'm like, I got an uncle vibe from him. So at the audition, you know, I, you know, played the scene and he pulled me aside and was like, yeah, so like when Diana tells you this, you gotta be like what? You think why would I, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Berry Gordy definitely is that uncle, you know what I mean? So
Yes.
like, we've seen Berry Gordy portrayed sort of like as this super stiff kind of like executive.
Very stoic.
Yeah.
Very,
Yeah.
you know, untouchable.
And that is not him at all. If you think about it, he's raised a lot of these people because they were teenagers.
Yeah.
And they were out of the projects.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to like think fast. You got to be smart on multiple levels to like really hold all these people together. And then, you know, so I was like, cool, got it. So I thought in the back of my mind, you know, some subtext that I didn't tell him. I was like, now listen, you gonna da 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 da. You ain't like how my uncle would do.
Right.
Like you. And he caught it and he laughed out loud. He said, ha ha. I said, oh, okay, got
him.
That's my uncle. Got him. Right. So when it came time to do the show, every time he came to the show, he had thoughts and changes as a Sagittarius would do. And I felt like it was just an honor to do this night after night and to just, you know, be known on a first name basis, you know, with Mr. Berry Gordy. And from that, we got to meet a lot of those legends and, you know, Smokey Robinson, Stevie Wonder, Oh, I met Michael Jackson.
You met Michael Jackson?
Yeah.
Please share yours.
So Hairspray is also one of my favorite shows because not only because it was my Broadway debut and one of the first Broadway shows I had seen, it's also a part of a special week that happened for me in June. So before the Hairspray call happened, I got a call from the mayor of Gary, Indiana.
Okay.
And I was living in Chicago at this time, and they were like, "Hey, so Michael Jackson's coming back home to Gary, and we want to know if you'll be a part of a special show that we're doing for him, in Gary, Indiana." And I was like, "Let me think about it. Yes, absolutely." And so, and they were like, "Okay, great. What Michael Jackson song do you want to sing?" And I was like, "None of them. I don't want to sing a Michael Jackson song for Michael Jackson. What that look like? You know what I'm saying?" So they were like, "What?" And I said, "I'm gonna do a Jackie Wilson song for Michael Jackson because Jackie Wilson is the one who inspired Michael Jackson. What I'm gonna do? Sing Billie Jean in front of him? Like, no. So, so they allowed me to do that. So it was June of 2003. I'll never forget it. So it was cold outside. Anyway, so Michael Jackson came to the show. We watching the show, and I did Lonely Teardrops for him. And then after I performed Lonely Teardrops, I went into an original song of mine that had a snippet, like a short interpolation of Butterflies. And he caught that, when I did the song. Yeah, and then at the end, like, he stood up, gave me a standing ovation. And I'm like, wow.
You just got the blessing from the king of pop.
Yeah, I'm like, that's going in my bio. So praise the Lord. Thank you. So, and then shortly afterwards, he, got ready to leave. So I was much more bold then than I am now. There's no way I'd do this now. But back then, I was like, oh, he's not leaving before he meets me. So
that part.
He's getting ready to leave, and I'm barging through the security. And they're like, hey, hold up. I said, hey, I just performed for Michael. Like, it worked with the Gary security to let me through. But then when I got to Michael's security, they wouldn't let me through. And I'm like, Michael. And he can't hear me because everybody's screaming, Michael. And then I was like, Jackie Wilson. I'm the one that's saying Jackie Wilson. And
he turned around?
It worked. Michael Jackson turned around, signaled for the security guards to let me through. I walked up to him. I kept my cool. There was a friend with me, one of my best friends, Rita. She was with me, and she kind of like passed out before this happened. It felt like we were riding a ship. She's like, oh my God, you about to meet Michael Jackson? Oh my! I said, I'm thinking, don't you mess this up for me? And then she fell, and the security pulled her off. And I'm just keeping my cool. I'm like,
So your friend got passed out.
She got. I'm thinking, don't you? It felt like we were on a ship, and we never discussed that until years later. And she felt the same thing. Anyway, so yeah, she's like, oh, and they
wheel her off.
Right. And I kept my cool. He told security guards to let me on through. I came on through and just was like, hey, so shook his hand. What's interesting about Michael Jackson is that he had these glasses on. I could see his eyes his eyes were piercing through those glasses. And firm handshake, like old school, you know what I'm saying? Like how they would talk. And even though there was all this noise, everybody screaming, like in that moment, in time, everything got real still and quiet. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to say thank you so much for inspiring me. Us both being from Gary, Indiana, and me seeing you just really gave me the delusional quality that I could also do this myself and in my own way. And you inspired me my whole life. And he was like, thank you. You did a wonderful job, blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't remember this next part because it starts to get a little fuzzy. My friend that passed out came back to life. And she said that I gave Michael Jackson one of my mixtapes. And he took it.
He did?
He took it. I don't remember it because I was holding it together at that point, and it's all started to get fuzzy after that. But yeah,
the delusional boldness came out.
I was like, yeah, and
yeah,
and he I guess he took it. I don't remember that part. It's possible. And then that was it. And he walked off. And then after he walked off, because I was starting to lose it, then I lost it and screamed, Michael Jackson! Hey, Michael Jackson! Oh, thank you, Michael Jackson! All of that. So like, it was, yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that was a special week for me because then after that whole experience of meeting Michael Jackson, the next day is when I got the call that I was making my Broadway debut in Hairspray. So it's a magical week. So all those things are kind of tied together for me.
That is an amazing week for sure.
Yeah. And I seen Freddie Gibbs talk about when Michael Jackson came back and how he went to KFC and all the other kind of stuff. And yeah, I did hear about that. He went to, like what Freddie Gibbs is saying, because Freddie Gibbs, Gangsta Gibbs is from Gary, Indiana, and he recalls that day this cartoon describing that event, and it's like spot on. It's pretty much what happened. The only part he didn't include was when we performed at the baseball field for Michael Jackson, and and all of that stuff transpired. So yeah.
You have stories for days, sir.
I do.
Now, this is the one that the internet always asks. How old are you?
I'm 51 years old.
Black don't crack unless you own it, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Everybody asks me the same thing. Like, what are you doing? You haven't aged. What is going on? Black don't crack unless you own it.
There it is, right. I just mind my business and hydrate. That's it, So there it is. Y'all not gonna worry me.
Hey, chances are you're listening to this podcast on your phone. And if you're watching it on TV, you probably have your phone in your hand, right? And I'm pretty sure you need a new screen protector. Don't worry, I need one too. That's where today's sponsor, Ultimate Wireless, has you covered. They are the premier nationwide e-commerce superstore for all your electronic accessories like screen protectors, earbuds, podcast gear, and even video game consoles. They'll have you covered for all of your wireless accessory and gaming needs, with everything from phone chargers to Nintendo Switches. And just because you're a listener for the Tokens podcast, Ultimate Wireless is going to give you up to 25% off your next purchase order when you use the code, you guessed it, the Tokens, at checkout. So the next time you're in the market for anything from a power bank to a PlayStation, go check out ultimate-wireless.com. And don't forget to tell them that we sent you by using our code, the Tokens, at checkout for up to 25% off your entire order. Thanks.
What advice would you give to a young performer, especially with them being the token? How do you give them the language to defend themselves if they get put into something like that?
So I would say to a Black performer, because I consider myself a Black performer first, and I've even said this in productions with various creatives, and most times they were receptive to the needs that I have as a Black artist to make sure that I feel like I'm being represented in a certain way. And, sometimes they weren't. And I was ready to walk away and did walk away, when I felt like the integrity wasn't honored. So what I would say to somebody who is new and an emerging artist is to stay true to your morals and integrity, because that, at the end of the night, you have to be able to sleep at night. And if you ever do something just for a paycheck or something like that, that's going to eventually eat at you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
And with you being the amazing influencer that you are now, can you tell us a bit more about that and how you fell into that?
So I sort of fell into being a digital creator, content creation, all that stuff from me doing a wellness check. So during the pandemic, right, which was great for us introverts. I'm actually an introvert. Are you too?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought so.
I like to be home.
Yeah, me too. So during that time of like incubation, I got a chance to just play around and sort of find like what would my voice be. And I wanted to just do it as an initial way to just overcome self-doubt. I had a really difficult year before that in 2019, just trying to figure out how I could overcome self-doubt and how I could add value to the world and stuff like that. So what I did was I did a wellness check daily called March to Wellness. And I just did videos saying, hey, see how you doing? Let me know how you doing, blah, blah, blah. But then, because I wasn't used to doing content so much, I would skip a day or two and forget and then come back. Well, I didn't forget. I just didn't feel up to it.
Right.
Then I'd come back and be like, hey, well, this is episode 16 and 17. Checking in and see how y'all doing,
Right.
And so a friend of mine, he was talking to me and he was like, yeah, so when you did the March to Wellness and you started skipping days and you were coming back like, hey, 16, 17, this made me feel like I couldn't trust you. And I was like, what?
Ooh.
So it pissed me off. I was like, the hell you talking about? Like, I'm telling you, I didn't feel like doing this yesterday, but here I am today. You know what I mean? Just
being honest and vulnerable.
Yeah. But it lit a fire under me. I said, okay, so if this person is feeling this way, then it's a teachable moment for me to just say, okay, what can I do? How can I make this better then? Since the word trust is involved. That's I don't take that lightly. So I then started I found a way to continue the series and I did it every day from there on out. And then I said, let me just continue creating content to overcome like overthinking and worrying about what it's gonna be. Because before this, I would post like maybe a couple of times a year or something like that, and then just be praying and like it reached people or whatever, buying followers, buying likes, all of that stuff. Yes, I did that too back in the day. I did, and got over all of that and was like, let me just, so then what it really changed is that one day I decided, let me just do this different way people apologize. I was like, okay. Somebody might say, oh, I'm sorry. Then like, oh, then somebody else might be like, oh, I'm sorry for, for the shit I didn't say, whatever, so all that kind of stuff. And I was like, oh, wait, this is kind of like a Sag over here, kind of like I started kind of piecing it together and just kind of slapped the signs on there, and people had a very visceral response to it.
Well, because they don't want to be exposed.
Yeah. So it was interesting and funny and all that. I was like, oh, okay. So then I started to continue, and then somebody started commenting. They were like, it was on TikTok. They said, you should do an interview with each sign. And I was like, And I replied to that comment on TikTok, and I was like, yeah, you know what? I should do an interview with each sign. So then I started that, and and
which
then
were
I just
hilarious,
continued.
by the way. Which were ridiculously hilarious, by the way.
So I just continued and just, started having a blast. And it helped me overcome, the crippling self-doubt. I still have self-doubt at times. I think it's healthy too. But I overcame the crippling part and was just sharing something that, rather than asking people to see me and trying to, all this stuff, it was just a way of saying, hey, I see you. And I found that to be a much better position to be in. People want to know that they are seen.
Yes.
And then in that, they see you. So.
Giving us Oprah quotes. Look at this. The more you know.
Right.
I see you,
I
see
see
me,
you.
Seeing you, my brother. Like,
There
snap,
it is.
snap,
You know what I'm saying? Right.
I love that. Okay. Now, what are you doing now?
What am I doing now? Right now, I just launched my very first book. Watch out. You're looking at an author, Chester Gregory. So it's a workbook called Path to Purpose, and the workbook is totally free.
Yes, I have my copy.
Yay!
I'm excited to
So
get
it's a book
into
that's, it gets in your business, designed to have you sit down and ask, it's 15 pages of questions of just like getting into like why you do the things that you do, what, is your calling, with your purpose and things like that, right? Because a lot of times people think what they do is their purpose. And what you do is an extension of that purpose, or sometimes not, oftentimes not, really. So it's just getting to your why you do those things, so that then when you're empowered in that why, that extension of what you do is a whole world of things. So you don't have to qualify with just this one branch.
right
There's
of
multiple.
yourself.
Yeah.
And that goes back into your mental wellness that you were
Exactly.
doing before. So it's kind of carried it through all the way up to now.
You see what's
That's
happening?
good. I see what you're doing. You just get a little cord on, I like it.
Yeah.
Anything else?
And then a step further, we launched a new community and course module called the C.H.E.S.S board. C.H.E.S S acronym standing for Collectively Healing Every Single Soul. Oh, come on now. Okay. It seemed like you knew that. You were just right with me.
No,
I love it. Okay.
No, I mean, I'm a follower. I am a Chess fan. Okay, I got my favorite track still is "Thank You, F You, Goodbye."
Hey, come on, yes.
If you ain't heard his album yet, go ahead and get on that because brother is multi-talented for reals.
Thank you for supporting the project album.
Of course.
So the CHE.S.S acronym came from me wanting to create music that really expressed my healing journey.
Yes.
So before the course module, it was just collectively healing every single soul. That's what CHE.S.S is. So the album Retrograde and Thank You, F You, Goodbye is that journey of, we'll say, learning boundaries.
My favorite B word.
All right. Yes. I used to hate the word boundaries, but after therapy, boundaries is one of my favorite words now. I'm like, oh yeah, no, we gonna set that boundary.
This is necessary.
Yeah.
Do you think going through therapy and everything else has made you a better actor?
Absolutely, because I have greater levels of vulnerability now that weren't really attainable before. You know what I mean? So, I used to wonder, like, how can somebody just cry on the spot or this and that? And, now being more fully aware of myself, right? And being more aware of others and the tools that I've gained from, being in, working with a therapist for 2 years now, right, is I now have a greater awareness of my emotional well-being and depth and range and can now really put myself in moments and, grab Neeby or something like that. You know what I'm
That
saying?
is called acting, y'all. That is the discipline of it all. If y'all can't get in touch with yourselves, you will self-destruct.
There it is. A thespian must tell the truth.
At all times.
Yes.
Yes. I can't thank you enough, Chester, for coming on and speaking your truth and just being the wonderful legend that you are. Please go ahead and plug all your socials for us.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's Chester Gregory. Everything's under my name, Chester Gregory. Please spell it C-H-E-S-T-E-R, not O-R. C-H-E-S-T-E-R, Gregory. I'm verified on all platforms, so it's the one that's verified. There's a lot of fake accounts out there trying to be me. I don't do readings. I will never ask you for any of your personal information.
You're not Miss
stuff.
Cleo?
No, I'm not.
Mr.
No, right.
Chester C.
Right.
See it all.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The Zodiac content comes from me watching my friends and thinking about my friends, not from me reading your chart and then doing this thing based off your chart. I have friends that do that, that are official astrologers. I'm just an intuitive and creator. That's it. So yeah.
These are just jokes.
Yes. So join me, yes. And the chessboard, our community that we just launched, it's been going great. People have been having amazing breakthroughs.
Yeah.
I add new course modules every single month, and our community is incredibly active. So we're kind of like an answer to social media. So as much as I'm involved on social media, there's also a love-hate relationship with it as well, right? Because it can get extremely draining. One minute you see a baby. The next minute you see somebody getting married. The next minute you see violence. The next minute you see somebody who passed away, and then your entire timeline becomes an obituary. So our minds are not designed to go to those emotional extremes just with a flick of a finger. So you need a place you can always tap in and get positive energy where you know what you're going to get, right? And so at the chessboard, our community is incredibly active where everybody interacts with each other, and it's all very much uplifting. Now, of course, if you have questions, we address that as well, but it's none of the chaos and static that happens on social media at times. So I do love social media as a great tool, but sometimes you just can't help what happens with, whatever's happening in the world, and it's like, oh goodness, and so you're getting all this overstimulation, right? But at the chessboard, it's a place where you can always tap in and get your resurgence of energy. So yeah.
See? Passing on that wisdom. I love it. We have these conversations candidly. It's I want them to be a fly on the wall in this and expose that blind spot and help others coming up in here so they know how to handle this. And that to know that you're not alone in this situation. I think that's the biggest thing, me doing this for 25 years. And how long?
Yeah, over 20 years as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Were there moments where you definitely felt like, who do I turn to? Who do I look up to? Or who do I have a conversation to handle this.
Yeah.
So you had a community.
So right, exactly. So I think what you're doing is incredibly important. It's critical, actually, because I had a lot of those moments where I felt like, who can I turn to? Who can I talk to? And when I first joined Hairspray, I was even trying to get the Black cast members together. Like, hey, y'all, so you mean to tell me they have an Italian actors union for to make sure that Italians are represented properly? Mm-hmm. Where's the Black one? We ain't got a Black one? And I was trying to see about organizing that, but it was I had enough turmoil happening in my family and stuff during that time. But we still need that. And so what you're doing now is critical because it's letting the tokens know that you are not alone. Yes. Yeah. You're seen, you're heard, and your experience is valid. And yeah, don't let these people scare you into cowering.
Yeah. I think that's beautiful. Thank you again, Chester. Chester! Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And this was wonderful. Probably one of my favorites so far.
Hey,
I'm just going to leave it at that.
Bobby, haha, king of R&B.
Yeah. The king of R&B.
Hey, Bobby, haha.